is a film where reality and illusion cross over backwards and forwards, and there are flashes of both until it comes out. And then at the very end of the movie, without giving the movie away, how can I put this? It puts forward, it shows you that this is a total fiction, in that it's an impossible thing that this has happened.
So they've basically taken a guy who's he's directing an advertising thing in Spain.
Yep.
He realises he's very close to the area where he filmed his first film during his schooling years.
Yep.
And he's had an impact on everyone who was in that film. The guy who played Don Quixote and the girl who played the girl, Angelica.
Was this filmed in Spain? I would assume so. It looks
Spanish. I didn't actually look. I didn't look that up, to tell you the truth.
If it looks Spanish, then may I say it could have easily have been done in Australia. There's aspects of it that look very Australian.
No, I don't think so.
No, possibly not. The architecture is certainly not. But while I'm saying the landscape, there's some very Australian, particularly in the north, up around the Pilbara area. Except it's too red up in the Pilbara area. This is like old.
I don't know where your head's going. It didn't look remotely Australian.
It felt a little Australian.
Do you know what it felt to me?
What?
You know how last week we picked two good films?
This week we didn't.
I felt this week the films were just too weird, mind-warping, didn't quite make sense any way you went, and it just did my head in completely.
Okay. So
I came in today going, oh my gosh, I'm going to say bad things about both these films. And it's not even bad as in, oh, they were horrible films, I thought they were awful. It's more like, they didn't make sense.
All right.
One, which was Quigley Down Under, was like trying to mash three different types of films together and it didn't work.
But that was poorly constructed.
Where this film
was done deliberately.
But the thing was, in Terry Gilliam's other films, you knew when it was real and you knew when it was supposed to be tripped out.
That's right.
Where this one, you couldn't work out when it was supposed to be real, when it was supposed to be tripped out.
It kept you guessing.
Well, I thought at first, because they had the gypsy guy in his dream area and you knew because he woke up, and then they had the gypsy guy in again, but he didn't wake up again, that I thought, oh my gosh, I thought it was because of this, but now I'm not sure, and it just did my head in.
I do believe that was done deliberately.
What, to do my head in?
Terry
Gilliam's going, that Pip, let's screw her over.
I do believe as I said, I think he's done a lot of drugs, and he may not have, but he's definitely into what is reality and what is not, and where do the two cross over, because this is what that movie was all about.
The other film that you and I have watched that I can never remember the name of, which I'll have to look up properly and write it down, you knew when it was real because it was Heath Ledger when it was real, and then when he went into the caravan, he became one of the other actors like Jude Law and the other guys, and it made sense because you go, right, I know that it's fantasy. It makes more sense. Where this one, I didn't know when it was fictitious or when it was fantasy. I didn't know what was happening. And I was
Do you know why I stopped and then said, you know what, I'm not going to waste this. I'm going to put it up.
To do my head in.
To do your head in.
Oh, gosh, you're a mean bastard.
I sat there and I watched this, and it was like merging from reality to fantasy, and I'm just going, this is going to fucking unravel a head.
But the thing was, normally you've got a little hint as to when it's happening, and there was no hint.
Like the night with the mirrors on him. Didn't know what that was.
No, that was real. It was the people from the town being real, and then he gets punched, he falls asleep, and then you know he's having a dream, but then it doesn't turn out to be a dream because he gets back to the castle. And it didn't.
But you didn't know that at the time because you didn't know that there was this whole thing going on.
I know, but that's what I mean. I had to think too hard. And to me, it was just too much. And it's funny because the actors in it, I go, oh, I know them. They're from Black Klansman. It was Adam Driver, and he's in, The Last Jedi, etc. And, I didn't find anyone did a bad job with their acting skills, but I found that the storyline was too twisted and didn't have enough clues to help me out.
I knew you'd be struggling on this one. And
my gosh.
Kind of did that one deliberately.
Why would you do that to me? It was awful. There's actually a couple of times where I rewind it back in case I missed something. I'm thinking, when is this? And I thought, the gypsy guy's there. It must be fantasy. And I went, no, because I haven't gone back to the other part. And I just thought, that's just stupid.
I'm not going to apologise because
I should,
shouldn't I? I know. But I think this is actually a good exercise to watch this film for
No,
you.
it's not. And Terry Gilliam has spent 20 years trying to get funds for this, and he couldn't get it shot, put out everywhere. And I'm thinking, this is why. Because it was just too weird.
Yes.
People wouldn't like it.
Yes.
It's not even artistic enough that, it made sense everywhere. And I thought, this is weird.
This is quite a rant for you. You know that, don't you?
It annoyed me that much.
Would you like to know what I thought of the film?
Sorry. What did you think of the film, Paul?
I thought it was masterful.
Oh, of course you did. Of course you did. Of course you went, does Pip's head in,
No, but I mean, okay, look, it was weird. It was strange. It was like, I'm sorry to say, our next two movies next week, you're going to have the same problem again. You're going to have the same problem again. And not by the one I picked, by the one you picked. So I'm sorry, but you've done it to yourself next week.
I'm sure yours will screw me over too, don't worry.
Well, we'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Anyway, Paul, why did you like this film so much? Why did you think it was masterful?
Okay. It lures you down. First of all, it starts in a hyper-realistic, okay? They're making a set. Everybody's very false. He's there. You'd think it's going in one direction. And then you go, oh, no, wait, we're having a flashback. And then you go forward again and you go back. You know what I mean? When he gets on the motorbike and goes to the old village.
That's not a flashback. He did that.
Yeah, I know. But they showed the original movie on the TV, right?
Yep.
And he sat there and he watched that. And that's when things started to go weird between him and that pseudo thief.
I assumed it was when the pseudo thief shot that guy.
Right.
Which again didn't make sense. And also when he goes, we don't need any of these lines,
Yes.
They've just broken the whole thing.
And then it all well and truly breaks.
I really enjoyed it. Stuff, don't you?
I'm utterly consistent when you work out what the ground rules are.
Weirdness for Paul.
I felt this was absolutely intoxicating, this film. It was really, really good. I was thoroughly enjoying it, but this is a very odd film. I'll give it that. I'll grant you that. And I can understand well and truly.
You're not safe in this film.
Never. No. And it's just like The Hateful Eight. It's a master class in keeping people off balance.
No. The Hateful Eight was like a thriller detective
No,
thing.
let me finish
where this
the
one
sentence.
was like, rug out. Oh, no, it's a rug out. No. Now you're in the moon. Go for it.
No, let me finish the sentence, please. What I'm trying to say is Hateful Eight, as you said, thriller, doing what it was doing, and it did it beautifully. This is screwing around with reality. And that's the whole premise of this movie. And it screws it around until you do not know what you are watching, whether it's real or fantasy. And and like I'm very good at picking, we're in a dream sequence or something like that. I'm usually very, very good. And it was doing my head in, and I couldn't keep up and keep track of it. And I thought, this is fantastic, because I was really struggling with it.
That irritated me so much.
I know. You're welcome.
I like a little bit of solid ground. Yes, they can throw the rug out as long as there's still ground there for you to stand on. But if they're just going to throw you in quicksand.
How about the girl in the flames?
That would have been done nicely if there'd been a bit more. I like there being a bit more. This is fantasy. This is not fantasy. I'm happy for them to make it seem like he's going crazy, but it didn't do it enough at the start to get him sorted. It was done too early, and therefore I didn't know what was going on.
All right. Okay, so obviously...
So now I'm just watching it going, they can just do whatever they like. It doesn't matter. Obviously, we couldn't care less.
Okay, so obviously you didn't like this film.
Look, it was shot well. There was good acting in it, but it just was too much of a head spin.
Okay.
And it was too early on. It's okay to flip you around at the end of it when you've wow, that's such an interesting twist. But this, they've totally screwed you over from the start, and you're like...
Can we pull back
obviously at the end of it, who cares, really?
Before we go for scores, can we go back to something a little bit more prosaic and on more solid ground?
What's that?
What did you think of the performance, first of all, of Adam Driver?
I thought he did a great job, but he always does a good job. I think he's good in whatever he does.
He's quite I guess the word would be mercurial, in that he's an edgy kind of guy, and he's good at playing these edgy characters.
Yes.
As is... What's his name?
Who?
I can't remember. I had it. Christopher... The guy who played Quixote.
Jonathan Pryce.
That's the man.
Christopher. Jonathan Pryce.
I was close.
He's in Game of Thrones and he was in The Heart of the
Yes.
Sea that we've just recently done.
Yes, he's done all of that. And
he did a great job.
He's been around since the goodies.
He did a really good job, but the thing was, the storyline totally threw me. So
Yes.
no matter how well these guys and girls acted, it did my head in too much.
Okay, well, he's been around forever. And I think he was genuinely enjoying himself because he could really let cut on this.
Oh, yeah, he could just go, I am Don Quixote.
I am
I
Don
will
Quixote.
save the woman.
Well,
Oh, Sancho, you have no idea. You are a peasant.
you peasant. Oh, sorry. Oh, crack me earphones then. Okay, all right, Pip. Hit me with it. What's your score?
5.
You
Seriously.
didn't like it or dislike it? You said it didn't. You weren't enjoying the process of watching this film.
No.
So why did you give it a 5?
Because it was done well. It looked
So
good.
you are now no longer, am I to understand, you are no longer just giving it on pure enjoyment basis.
No, the fact that at the end of it, it didn't worry me what happened. So I wasn't upset, but I wasn't...
You had disengaged from the movie.
I was watching it purely because I had to watch the end of the film.
That's not enjoyment.
Well,
That's not a pass.
Yeah, but it's not me going, oh gosh, Paul hated this film so much.
Yes,
but this is me going, by the end of it, I couldn't care less.
Well, that was probably at least a 4 then, wouldn't it?
No, I'm sticking with my 5.
Okay, all right.
There are some people out there that might go, oh, we love the lovely twisty and weirdness of it. Guess what? No.
Okay, well, I'm going to go 7.5.
That's nice.
I would have gone 8, but it's got subtitles in it.
It's got 2 seconds of subtitles and they get rid of it. He's put his hand there and he flicks all the words away.
What did I just say?
Oh,
So I would have said 8, but it's got subtitles, so 7.5.
okay, so that's 5 stars from me and 7.5 stars from Paul for The Man Who Killed Don Quixote.
Okay, Pip, what have you got lined up for next week?
So next week, I put up 2001: A Space Odyssey.
So you had trouble with this one, so strap yourself in, Spanky.
Okay, well, I'll blame, it'll be my fault next week. I've never seen it. I have never seen it. I know aspects of it because it's the film to talk about.
We know that Stanley Kubrick is not only crazy, but also did a heroic amount of drugs.
So I just thought, bugger it, I'll put it up. So 2001: A Space Odyssey from me, and Paul has put up Hotel Mumbai.
Yes, which is a documentary style movie, from what I can understand, of a terrorist act that happened a little while ago. Because we haven't anything dark and foreboding for a little while. So I thought, oh, come on, it's just getting too light and cheery. So I thought I'd go for something dark.
Really? This week with this sort of stuff we've put up?
Well, genocide's not that dark, is it?
Boom, boom.
All right.
Awesome.
Okay.
So that was our 50th episode. Yay! It wasn't a great one because those movies sucked. But anyway, we promise we'll come up with some better ones.
Well, maybe the next week we will. Maybe
I'm guessing from what we've put up, it's not going to be. It's going to be a similar one to this week.
They might be 2 10s. You know, there's a lot to be said for, like, it's because, like, I think it's 1968 it came out. So it's been around since, you know,
I know, but I just haven't
Adam
got
was a
around to
boy.
seeing it. And everyone talks about it and going, oh, you should have seen it because it's one of the films you have to put on your list. And I just haven't got around to it.
Can you do at least one thing for me? Don't watch it on a laptop.
No, I won't.
Good. Okay. As long as you don't do that.
No. I've been watching on my TV, my big screen TV.
Well, just remember it's 1968 and look at the visual quality of it. Okay? I think you might be impressed.
I think I'm pretty good at that sort of thing. So it's all good.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. We hope everyone has a great week and we'll watch these films and talk about them next week.
Okay. Before we go, let me just ask again, can you all jump on and do your rate and review? And if you know somebody who likes incessant arguing and people making bad jokes about genocide and stuff like that, then by all means, grab their phone and put this on there and say, here, listen to these guys. Particularly if you don't like that person. Why should you be the only one to suffer?
Oh, awesome. All right. Well, we hope you have a good week.